the Wannabes, episode 8 of season 2. My name is JD.
What's up? It's your boy Wasabi.
And we are chilling. How you doing, man?
I'm good. It's been a long time coming, but we got a bit of a scenery change now.
Yep.
Cause your boy is in NorCal finally.
Congratulations, man. Big move with a new job. You're living with the girlfriend. You're out in, I was going to say sunny California, but NorCal's not really what you think of with sunny California.
It was cloudy today, yeah.
But how's it feel? I mean, shit.
It's so crazy. Like, it hasn't hit me yet. One, because Pilar is coming in tomorrow, and I'm still getting settled, and our stuff is getting here. Some of our stuff, including my PC, is getting here on Wednesday, and then a lot of our stuff from Massachusetts is still coming in next week in shipment. So still kind of getting settled, but the craziest thing to me is I feel like it's like such a big adult move, like IRL life move, and it feels like a place that I can like kind of grow into over the next few years. And we're right now renting from some family friends of Pilar's who are in Wyoming because they have a house there. And they don't know when they're coming back, obviously, because of the pandemic. But I'm hoping we can stay here for, 2 years at least, 3. I'd be down for 3 or 4, honestly. Just really depends on them, because right now we're just signing a 6-month lease, but they've been really nice. It's nice knowing your landlord, and I've just never had this amount of space before. Coming from New York and then to a 1-bedroom in Massachusetts, I think it feels so adult. I was actually giving a tour to Icy, shout outs to Alfred from CT, of the place, and it was crazy. Like, this is the guest bedroom / gonna be my office and gaming place, but like you can see the master bedroom in the hallway, and then down a few flights of stairs is gonna be the living room and the kitchen and all of that. So it just feels like a place I can really grow and both grow myself and with my relationship with PLR. And I don't know, it's been a long time coming, but like it feels very adultish in a very surreal way.
That's amazing. Yeah. There's not too much to say. I mean, you just moved in. I know, like, there's always a feeling of moving in that's universal, but then everything else, it's like new city. So you're going to be working in the office? Is that how it's going to work?
No, it's still remote.
Okay.
So yeah, what I meant by office is this room is going to be my office.
No, I mean, like, so with your new job, I'm sure they have a plan to move you into an office once things get safe, right? So it's like not yet, but maybe later in the year, second half of the year, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like probably, fall, early winter, I'm assuming.
Gotcha.
There are really no talks of it coming back yet, so it's just all up in the air. But yeah, work's about like a 30-minute drive, maybe 40 with traffic. So it's not bad.
Sweet.
Just across the bridge.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean, this is going to be the first time we've ever had time difference. I'm staying up past my bedtime for this recording. And I'm sure we'll work it out, but now we get to kind of spread our influence on both coasts. We technically could play Slippy still. We're definitely going to test it.
We'll try.
I've played sets on the West Coast, and it wasn't awful. Fox Dittos might be a different story, but it's not completely off the table. I'm excited for you, man. This is a really awesome change of pace, and you seem to really be taking some big steps, some adult moves, as you're saying. And it just, I don't know, it feels right,
It feels right. It feels like a long time coming too. I think it's just crazy. I don't really know what this next chapter is. So I think that's going to be the craziest part. 2020 was such a weird, volatile year on my end personally, and for a lot of people, for obvious reasons. And so, yeah, I really don't know what this is going to hold. I think I have a few homies out here, but like I'm just going to miss all the New York homies. I think that's the saddest bit, is like I can't be at that first or probably like few locals once things die down and stuff. But like that first big gathering of, tri-state, you got the Jersey crowd, got the Long Island boys, and obviously the NYC crowd. So I think I'm gonna miss that. But tons of new friends out here, tons of new homies. I'm sure I'll meet.
Yeah, I mean, we'll miss you too. But I'm sure the first major that we get to meet up in, we'll like meet up at Big House, split the diff, and then it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Plus, you have family on the East Coast, so we'll see you whenever you hit up over here. Although that's North Carolina mostly, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mostly North Carolina, but I'll come back to New York. I'll come back. Well, Genesis, right? Now I'm all set for Genesis. I don't even have to pay a plane ticket.
Oh, you're housing literally. How far away are you from the venue?
I am like a solid 10-minute drive, 15-minute drive. I think. Dude, I know. Everyone's gonna want a room. Everyone's gonna want a room.
Oh my god. Well,
Ben and Alfred, Joe Young. I mean, it's a hype crew. I just need to make sure Pilar's fine with housing 6 smashers for a weekend.
We'll see how 2022 Genesis looks, but
yeah, that's what we're looking towards.
That's the shit. Well, all right, cool. We're definitely going to be checking in with you every week, how things are going, updates, stuff like that. But this is a Melee podcast. I would be remiss if I didn't bring it back to some Melee topics. Any final thoughts before we switch over?
No, that's it. I mean, nothing really to report. I shipped out my PC on Wednesday, so aside from one last hype friendly session with BZim, there's really I didn't get a chance to really play Melee at all.
Word. All right. Well, that being said, I was able to play some Melee this week.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy, no tournaments or anything like that. A little bit of doubles, which, man, this is the day. Doubles right now is, chef's kiss to whoever. I wish I knew who to give shout outs to for who made this doubles Slippy mod, unregistered, unofficial Slippy version, I guess you'd call it.
It's out of Slippy. It's not tied to Slippy, but Slippy changed his plans to integrate it into Slippy.
Right. So
does that make sense?
Soon to be just a normal.
It's a mod of Slippy, which is really interesting, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Did he make it open source? I know we're not coders, so we might be out of our depth here, but
I just know they're tag teaming. So Slippy's like, "Oh, you're doing some cool stuff. Let's work together." So I think it's gonna be under the Slippy flagship soon.
I'm here for it. That's all I have to say. They're up to version 7 at this point. They might be up to version 8. And I think doubles is definitely catching a lot of love. It's one of those things. It's like, for so long, dubs was kind of the forgotten stepchild in a way. Obviously, top players gave it a lot of love, but then there would just be instances like Mango oversleeping and not entering dubs, people shitting on dubs for taking up stream time or making the tournament go long. It's the first thing to cut when you're trying to put a tournament together. It's we don't have enough time, we have to cut doubles, or we have to squeeze it into one day, and now it's we couldn't play it for so long. Now it's available and it's catching a lot of love. I see doubles really picking up steam in these next few months. Stop me if that's just my bias or if you see the same kind of trends.
I think that doubles is super hype. I never caught the doubles bug, but that's only because it was so hard to find within New York City a solid doubles partner that wanted to grind it out with you.
Sure.
And I feel your enjoyment of doubles is really dependent on finding those few people that you're let's play teams together and stuff like that. You have chess obviously in Pig. But in terms of doubles as a wave, I think this is going to be really big. And I think really the biggest stopgap for doubles isn't even the ability to play games, because the technology is coming. It's already moving towards our way. I think it's more about there's such a lack of understanding and appreciation for doubles.
Sure.
because it kept on getting called out at tournaments, and because, like, people will sit and watch the top 8 of majors, but they won't sit and watch the top 8 of doubles with their friends, and they'll do their money matches during it and play friendly sessions or go drink or whatever, right? And I think that's been the biggest issue. But like with everything moving online, I'm really curious if that's going to change. But really, there's just such a lack of knowledge of the nuance of doubles outside of like Crimson Blur telling everyone how sick it is, I think.
I completely agree. I think you hit the most important points, which are the accessibility. I mean, it's an accessibility issue, right? And now that the technical accessibility is there, and now we can like just say, hey, download this thing. It's just as easy as downloading Slippy. And it's going to be good because singles is good and people are vouching for it. Tournaments are starting and all that. The tough thing for doubles has always been, how do you watch doubles? Melee's always felt like that game, like in DBZ, where only the top fighters can see the fighting that's happening. But doubles is actually that. Doubles is actually like you could be good and not see it. You could be great. You could be top 100. And if you're not a doubles player or you're not a main of one of the characters, you're just like, you have to put all your brain power into processing what the hell's happening. That's why commentary for doubles is a complete meme. It is.
Oh, it is. It's so bad.
Impossible. I don't blame it. I've tried doing it. I've tried commentating dubs. It's literally the hardest thing. It's like juggling while freestyle rapping at the same time. It's two parts.
It's some Huey Mack shit for sure.
Who's Huey Mack?
He's the guy who just like freestyle raps everything he sees while he's walking.
I do know who that is, and you're absolutely right.
Yeah, because I showed it to you on a road trip, my guy.
Chill. I liked it.
I know. I think also a big thing is like okay, well, before we get into like more issues with doubles, I think a good thing with this build is that it just eliminates the financial aspect of doubles. Like, even I sometimes, like, especially when I wasn't with, my earlier jobs, like fresh out of college, sometimes I wouldn't pay like $5 for doubles. It adds up. And
because I think getting farmed. Doubles is like,
exactly.
Who's winning doubles.
Yes, so exactly. And I think like the other thing is talk about winning doubles. Shout outs to I think it was Hacks promised his Little Pastry. Remember Little Pastry from New York?
Yep.
He promised he would team with him at doubles, and then Slox asked Hacks to play doubles with him last minute, and Hacks was like, sorry, bro.
Yeah, that's grime. That's grime PR.
I know. Nah, I don't know. It's funny.
Honorable mention.
Honorable mention for sure. I think the other thing is the reason why there's no nuance on the commentary aspect, because I love that idea, it was really just a shit show in terms of commentary, is because there's no stable teams. It's like it's kind of like almost like everyone's just trying to randomly match in like a Hunger Games style of like alliances. Like, okay, like sure. Axe and Moki are weirdly paired together, and then so I feel like there's only a few static teams like PewFat, KFC, all of those guys. And so I think with the advent of net play doubles, you'll see a lot more static teammates, and then not only can the meta progress because it's definitely so underdeveloped, but also play styles will develop as well around it, where you'll be able to look at matches and be like, so this team plays like this. Because if you're just seeing Hacks and Moki play for the first time, you won't have that nuanced analysis to it that you have with singles. Like, we talk about singles, and we talk about Moki being super sick, Sunsei being exciting and not standard combos. We talk about the Wizzy tech chase, and stuff like that, and we just don't have any of those storylines in doubles. Because it's like, which top player can meet with what top player, right?
Yeah. I think it would take a very deliberate effort to turn dubs into something that's more standardized and more narrative driven. I think you're absolutely right. So they would have to be sort of a circuit type thing of like week after week, the same teams have to enter. Maybe you could do a sub here and there, like keep it somewhat flexible, because that's interesting too. It's like, oh, this team has a sub. they have like 2 per season or whatever, and they ended up doing really well. Like maybe, but it has to be. You have to learn the team as it is. Otherwise, you're just kind of trying to follow both players, and then the better. It's not interesting if it's like like Justice 4 when Hax and Armada just teamed together.
Yeah.
They never did again, and they never did prior, and they won because they're just better. And so keeping it away from that is tricky also, because it's almost compounded your advantage. It's a multiplicative sort of effect of we're 20% better together. We're 60% better, just by the nature of how hard doubles is. So with all that being said, I still see a groundswell of interest in doubles, which is the most important thing, because people need to be interested in it. You have to understand how fun it is to play. How much more fun is it to get into a Discord with 3 of your homies and play dubs for a few hours? That's way more fun than a one-on-one session that can get try-hardy, or it could just like turn into secondaries. In terms of like pure fun value, dubs has the heat in that regard. And then we'll see how that goes into the top level. We still don't even have a spectator mode, I don't think, with the dubs version. So we're still a long ways away from like any sort of content coming out of it, although am I wrong about that?
I don't think we have for doubles, because it's not tied with Slippy. There's a Slippy spectator mode, but doubles hasn't been fully integrated to Slippy yet, from my understanding.
Okay, so you could only like stream your own doubles games, pretty much.
I would assume so. I mean, no one's running doubles tournaments also. Well, that's the thing also, is that it's so hard to run doubles into singles just because people have work and time. But now you can just run a doubles only event.
Yeah, I entered one. A couple weeks ago I entered one.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be really sick. I think that doubles has a lot of room to grow, and like to have double specialists, it will kind of make it to be like.
Do you mean peach mains?
I do mean peach mains. Yeah, peach mains, and then just pair them with a fox, and you're fine.
Oh, the dream.
The dream, but. No, I think like it's gonna be it could branch out. Like I could see it becoming a separate scene, like similar to tennis. I don't know the doubles tennis players, but it's you have doubles and you have singles, and you have certain players that specialize in both. Like I think for me, I'm always gonna love singles. I like at the moment, from my experience with doubles, like I still love singles and I want to work on that. But like I think the idea that playing doubles won't make you better at singles is such a lie too. Like I never leaned on that. It was just like, for me, it was always like, I don't have a consistent partner to play with, so it's not as fun. But yeah, like I'm curious to see if it will branch out and we'll start having double specialists and different storylines, then different players too, we'll move completely out of the top 10 MOM top 10. Like it might not even matter, like Hax, I'm sure, isn't like super great at doubles. He's just a super good player.
Yeah, that's where team synergy comes in. I mean, me and Chess have always punched above our weight in doubles. I mean, that was the one thing that we took a lot of pride in, and we like learned through that. Always a step ahead. We would make upsets and dubs, and so it felt so much better because it was with a teammate. It was like. We did it together, and once like sharing that again, it's a multiplying type of deal. So, I guess that's like my pitch for doubles. I'm sure there are a ton of people that feel the way I do. I would say most top players have at least some sort of, at least a good memory associated with playing teams. If not at a tournament, then like at some sort of fest, or like after at 3 a.m. at the big house, like friendly setups, or whatever. It's really an important part of the community, and now that it's caught up to where we are with singles, I'm looking forward to just one like focused tournament, right? Like spectator mode hits, I want to see a a big push to like get all the top players, get the hype going, just give doubles a really powerful embrace and show it the respect and show all the peach mains out there that they are seen and respected also. And I think that's super viable. I think there's a lot of love for teams out there.
Yeah, and to kind of close on that, I think that for me, what I'm excited about is just stop seeing like just two really good players win events. Like I want to see players that absolutely love doubles win double events. And I feel like for me as a spectator, more so than a player in doubles, like it just isn't as fun, you know, watching like Sloxing Hacks win over Aklo and Foxy Grandpa, you know, because it's so clear that
that's a pretty outdated statement, though. Yeah, let's be real. If they played today, I think I'd have money on Foxy and Aklo.
I think I would still put money on Hacks and Slox, honestly.
I would take that bet. That's all I'm saying.
I would take that bet at a heartbeat. But you know, like I'm just excited to see that, and like I you know, it will stop being this like, oh, players are punching above their weight, but it's like, oh, they're a really good team. Because I think that's what one of the wrong things that went into the double storyline was, like when HBox and Crunch lost to Swedish and Slox, it was like, oh my gosh, these two players beat HBox and his coach, and who Crunch, who is like a good player too, but like it was viewed as like them punching above their weight rather than them being just better at doubles.
Sure.
Like, you know, Kaon and Darktooth is a great example too. Like it's not about punching them. It's not about them punching above their weight. It's just that they are actual double specialists, you know, within the top 100.
Yeah.
And they have such good synergy, and I think that's what I'm excited for. Is I think those new storylines need to be focused more on like than just like, oh, top player enters double events to make extra money.
I completely agree. I have a feeling that's going to turn into a YouTube clip. Now that and that kind of takes me into the last topic before our break.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So, we've been. It's just a meta commentary of where we're at as a podcast, as kind of an entity. I'm really happy with the direction we're moving. I know we said it early on in season 2 that like we're setting our intentions. We're like, okay, this is what we want to talk about, and we've been sticking to it. But I just want to say like, hey, let's keep doing what we're doing. I'm happy we're uploading more on YouTube. I've gotten a few messages from people saying like, hey, I'm happy with the direction. Like, keep it up with season 2. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, damn. That's super hype.
Shout outs to Bills.
Oh, dude, I love Bills.
Shout outs to Bills. Bills is so sick. I love him. And yeah, just the YouTube clips and the video, the fact that we're doing video every episode now, kind of a long time coming, but whatever.
Better late than never.
That's true. Yeah, might as well make the change at this point. But yeah. I just wanted to ask you, like, how do you feel with where we're at, and how do you know, what are your thoughts?
I think I'm really happy with where it's going. I think for me personally, I love the topics that we're approaching now, and like a lot of the stuff, and the fact that our questions channel on our Wannabes Discord group is popping is probably my most favorite part about season 2. So like, keep the questions coming. Like, I love that.
Me too.
But like, I think I want to, like, I love what we're doing. I want to keep doing it. And then outside of that, I have just like a few ideas that I want to like push more so and find the time. And now that I'm like settled in California and things are less hectic, I'm hoping I can find like that extra hour or so just to focus on like content creation to help push the channel in my own way too. You know, like I think we both have very different ideas of what good content is, or like good content that matches what our motivation to make it is probably a better way to put it. Because I do like the content you're pushing out, like that analysis series I think was super sick. I listened to it.
Archives.
Thank you. Archives. Yes. But it's not just like, it's just not my cup of tea to like produce and do.
Sure.
But I want to be able to like put in an extra hour or two just like for the content side for our channel. And I think that's what I'm excited for, is like we're branching out on top of like just the weekly episodes. And I think that's what's I'm most excited for.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think because this is something that Matt brought up. Shout outs to Ventus as always. We should give him just a perma shout out.
Perma shout out, remarkable Matt, Ventus official.
Yeah, killing it as always. And he mentioned that we're all kind of sprinters, right? Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it's something that certainly has weaknesses and is something to look out for. I think you're less of a sprinter. I think you're better at kind of like keeping a firm grip and understanding your energy level more than I am. Because when I'm like hard-headed on something, that's like all I could think about, just relentless for like 4 days and then whatever. But right now it feels like we're hitting a really good balance of like what we need to do, our basics, like our bread and butter, which is just sitting down and doing what we're doing now, and then chopping it up, and then giving ourselves the freedom of like, all right, what else do we want to do? 1v1s are kind of gravy, and we're doing something big with 1v1s, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, I booked one already, as you know.
Yeah,
so
we got huge plans for 1v1s. I'm so excited. The new archive series, which originally was going to go on my normal channel, but I'm like, no, let's throw it on Wannabes. Let's like stack it up on this channel, dude. And it just feels really good to get questions, like you said. I think that's been our favorite thing, and hopefully we could just keep a steady supply of questions coming in to fuel. We're gonna have it in our second half of this episode. It just feels like a nice, like, you kind of look in every direction, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool, I'm happy with that. Like, oh, that's sustainable. What we're doing over there is like a sustainable idea, just it feels good. And we wouldn't be the Wannabes if we didn't comment about the podcast during the podcast. But I think it's an important part of the process to like take stock sometimes of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and maybe trying to like understand if we're in a sprint or if we're in like a steady jog or canter. And right now I don't feel like I'm sprinting, which is not a it's pretty new to me to feel productive and to not feel like I'm sprinting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sustainability is so important, especially as we get like older and have jobs and other responsibilities. Like, you are getting way less sleep now because of that puppy.
Fucking dog, dude. I love her so much. I love her so much, but
Mabel's cute.
She's a cutie.
Yep. I think, to end on that, I think that I 100% agree with you. And again, shout outs to Matt, who told this to me while I was sprinting, I think at like 3 a.m. one night, because he's always up that late.
Yeah.
And he's like, you and JD kind of go opposite. Like, when JD's going hard on something, you're pretty chill about like everything. Mm-hmm. And then when you're like super zeroed in on something, JD's like kind of like more reserved. So it feels like we kind of just take turns on it.
Yeah, we've always covered each other's bases in that regard, in a lot of different regards, honestly. But
it just happens. Like, we don't even try, which is really funny.
Yeah, I guess it's like the opposite of syncing our cycles.
Yeah, we've reversed our cycles.
We've been on reverse cycles, which is good. It keeps one of us productive at all times, so that's good.
Yeah, I know, that's good.
So that's our little self-analysis.
We're just gonna roll now a clip of one of our podcast episodes. What quote are we gonna get from? Name a player.
Oh, we're gonna go with Nico Ryobeat.
All right, run it.
It's just like the climate's different, and I didn't even think about that concept of like, even though we're at the same tournament, we all have our own like lone wolf vibes, and I think it's like unintentional, because it's like, I think we've just kind of internalized that this is the scene of New York. Like, we don't really have that same like camaraderie because of the lack of Nebs. And it's not that like Yumi Hacks Big Kid don't cheer each other on, but it's like, well, like now that it's like, it's not happening on a bigger scale. We're just kind of like, well, screw the camaraderie thing. We gotta just work on ourselves for now, which sucks. Not that like I wouldn't cheer for you guys. It's just a matter of like changed culture. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I agree. It's like back in the day, you could play anybody you want, and like it was so much easier. And like we would have these big fests of like 8 to 10 people on a late on a weekday and shit, or sometimes Friday, obviously.
Yeah.
And we would just play really, really late and long and stuff like that. But now it's just like you struggle to find just one person to play in person, and sometimes even when you ask to play that person in person, like they they're not as serious. They're clearly like you're getting someone that like is kind of there because it's like fun for him, but not because he or she wants to like get super good, you know.
We are back. We were just watching some Gallant Keizu versus HBox. No spoilers, but it was exciting. We're not going to actually talk about Gallant today because it's going on as we speak. No, and we're also not really one to talk about the majors, so we'll just keep it to the questions. We have 2 great questions from our Discord. If you would like to ask us questions, just join our Discord. Find the link in our YouTube or in our podcast, wherever you're finding it. I'm sure we'll put the Discord link in there. Come join us. Ask us a question. We'll definitely answer it.
Yeah, it's always going to be the second tweet to our when we release it on Twitter, yep. And it's always going to be in the descriptions of our YouTube down below. See, I'm doing the YouTube thing now where I'm pointing down.
That's sick, dude.
So, yeah, I know.
That's sick.
That's called editing. Yeah, and awareness.
Well, good. We got some good awareness and we got some good questions. So, the first question.
Yeah,
you want to get right into it?
No, I was gonna say bring us into it, JD, and then I completely ruined the flow.
That's okay.
So
we still got the
bring
flow.
us into it, JD.
Thank you to Andre, who has been an OG, asking us this question: if Melee didn't ever exist, what would you have put all that extra time into instead? If Melee ceased to exist as of now, what would you put your time into as of now? So those are very similar questions, but they are 2 completely different questions.
It completely changes my answer, honestly.
So
that nuance difference changes my answer.
I think we have to answer both, right?
No, we have to answer both. I will be mad if we don't answer both.
Okay, all right.
And 2, you have to think of it as if I think the first part, if Melee never existed, that means that you never would have found out about the Melee scene and everything thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's okay if I kick it off, I can explain more what I mean, JD.
Yeah.
So, for example, if Melee... to answer the second part first, if Melee ceased to exist starting today, I would throw myself into other fighting games. I thought you were going to say like games.
Into a river or into the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, that is dark, JD. We're trying to keep this lighthearted.
I thought you were going to go there.
Jeez. No, I would throw myself into fighting games. I love fighting games. I love like Street Fighter, Guilty. I'm excited for the new Guilty Gear that's coming out. Dragon Ball seems really sick. And yeah, honestly, that's what I'm just really excited for. And I don't know which one I would pick. I think I'd probably end up playing an anime fighter just because it looks really cool, or Street Fighter. But I would just put my time into that and still be a competitor, I think. But the question changes is if Melee never existed from the get-go. Because without Melee, I would have never figured out about the fighting game scene and learned that I love to watch all of that and follow the players there and stuff like that. And, at that point, I remember that, like, I was... And maybe this is a little bit more personal for me. Melee kind of came in a very dark time for me where I realized I didn't want to be a doctor anymore in college in my junior year. And I wasn't really having fun with the rugby team either anymore at that point. And Melee kind of came in and kind of helped lift me up during that kind of very turbulent time. But I probably would have honestly gotten into maybe another sport or something like soccer, or found something online to get into, maybe fall down more into the weeb train and all of that. Who can imagine me being more weebish than I am now?
Unfathomable.
Unfathomable. But I don't know. Like I liked soccer at the time. I don't know. Maybe I would have picked up stock sooner and stuff like that. I don't think I would have had like a passion because Melee kind of taught me how to be passionate about things in general. So I really like can't I can guess, but Melee's been such a big influence to my life and like especially when it came in that my best guess would be probably another sport or some sort of competition like that, something very basic.
I hear you.
But I think that would be my answer.
I think those are good answers. I think it's tough to answer this without thinking like where would I be in my life without Melee, right? But
yeah,
that's not
exactly.
that's not the question, and it's like I want to answer it like because I started playing as a kid, and I actually had dreams of being a pro player before it was a thing. I would be
really
when I was 9, which is 2004. There might have been tournaments in 2004, but there wasn't like MLG. There wasn't anything I would know about. I distinctly remember being that age and like thinking about touring and like being on the big stage, like playing the game because I was better than all my friends. That was like the fantastical, vision I was having at such a young age. So without that, I definitely would still be playing video games. What would I put all my time into? Because college is when I entered the scene. That's when I really started grinding.
Yeah.
Probably more stand-up and more comedy. There's very few feelings that match like winning a close game 5 or like beating one of your bracket demons, but getting off of stage at an open mic and like having done a good show is definitely it's better. It's definitely better. And so I think I would have followed that without anything else. I mean, Melee was the thing that gave me confidence to do stand up at times. Like I knew that skill was progressing further and I became a better Melee player than I did a stand up, which remains of course, but I think without Melee it's like I'm not going to be better at, studying. I'm not going to be a more excited communications major or anything like that. I'm putting that time into other passions. So I think that's kind of that question. But if Melee,
it's so interesting. It's so interesting because it's like Melee for me, similar to you, like the introduction of Melee kind of put things into focus because at least for me, and I felt like I was pretty drifting during those times. Like I don't think I would even have done soccer or anything like that because it's like everyone else has played soccer in high school and stuff like that, and I never did that. So like I might have doubled down on rugby, or I could have just gone into like Twitch streaming. I think those are my two likely answers, but I kind of want to flip the question, and I now have a question for us.
Well, I have to answer the second part if if it ceased to exist.
Right, you didn't answer that second part.
I did not yet.
Never mind.
That's a little little easier to answer.
It is easier, but yeah, go ahead.
I would probably, right now I have other games that Hearthstone comes to mind. I've been playing a lot of Hearthstone Battlegrounds, and that's a similar. I would probably play some sort of like auto chess, and probably make content for it. I think I've caught the content creation bug pretty hard. I would likely look to start something on Battlegrounds right now, but it wouldn't be like my love-hate relationship with Melee. Like I can't not make Melee stuff. It's always bringing me back. I'm stuck with it. It would probably be I'll do Battlegrounds now, and if something else comes along, I'll do that. Until something captures me in the same way, and I'll have to wait for that. But what's your question you want to flip?
I kind of want to flip it because really what we're getting at in a more meta level is what did Melee give us? And I kind of want to flip it and ask you, what do you think Melee gave you? Like the fact that those two answers are so different. Both of our answers are so polarizing.
Right.
Between each other's. Not like each other like you and me, but like
from yeah, I got you.
From each of our own answers. What do you think are like name 1 to 3 things that like Melee gave you? Like really free reign, because I think that's really what we're getting at here.
Well, it definitely gave me a lot of freedom in that it was a kind of a one-stop shop for a lot of the things I needed at the time. So I needed like strong camaraderie. I was in a fraternity, but I never really felt like I haven't really made friends with any of the people in my frat. I don't keep in touch with them. So Melee just gave me so much value in terms of the friends I made, I have a lot of friends from it, but like core true friendships. And like I said before, it gave me a lot of confidence. It gives you, I think this is a universal thing, but when you're able to see your progression at something and have a tangible proof that time put in and effort put in has an output and has not just like you can see your tech getting better, but you see your enjoyment level getting better. You see other people respect you for that. And it feels and the feeling, the satisfaction, it gives a really awesome blueprint for what it means to improve at something. Which is really hard, specifically in comedy, to get in the early stages. Comedy is not the same learning arc. It's a plateau to start, So like teaching me how to enjoy learning is probably the second thing. I'm gonna stick with those two. I think those two are the biggest important kind of, because the third thing I would say is probably like enjoying making like an introduction to podcasting or video making. But I think I would have found that like comedy has an introduction to podcasting and video making also. Like there's a lot of avenues into what we're doing now. Melee just happened to be a great way to break into it and to start developing those skills. So yeah, definitely friendships and a blueprint for how to improve.
Sick. That's really cool here. And yeah, go with your heart on when the answer stops. I think for me, I touched on it in the beginning, so I think I can probably go through this pretty quickly, unless you have additional questions, which is, it just gave me so much focus. Like I learned this year that I have ADHD, which is really, really funny because it's really obvious when you like list it all down and your therapist is like, yeah, that's ADHD, Will.
We have a name for that, Will.
We have a name for that. And it just gave me so much focus. Like it just taught me how to be focused about things and so much discipline in the way I go about it. Like even when I deep dive into something now, like and how my deep dives go, it's just like head first, like literally absorb everything, and that's like the only thing you do. Like I've learned how to kind of reel it in to make it very useful. Like when I got into stocks over the summer, like the full submersion of like learning everything from that like was so intense, but like I knew how to do it because I did it with Melee first. And then I think the other thing is it taught me to honestly pursue passions more than anything else. And I know that's super cheesy and super like literally every motivational video will tell you that, but like, dude, I just like, my parents like, wanted me to be a doctor, and I convinced myself that I wanted to be a doctor, and I hit a point where I realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. That isn't what like I was really passionate about. And I think if Melee didn't come in like a month or two before I made that decision, like I don't know when in my lifetime I would have realized that, because I realized, oh wow, like this is what it means to truly like love something. And I think that those would probably be like my two biggest things, honestly.
Yeah. It's crazy how profound these things are, and they come up so easily. When you ask the question, what Melee gives to me, the hardest thing was picking which ones.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are things I left off that answer because, there some of it's so important. It's so fundamental, I'm always so grateful for the opportunity to talk about what Melee has given to us. It's hopefully that hashtag could come back. I think it's important for everyone to continue talking about what Melee has given.
Yeah, and I want to hear more from other people as well. So like throw it in the comment section or come on our Discord and let's have a conversation about it.
Absolutely.
Right? It's I want to hear more from other people.
Absolutely.
Not that I'm getting tired of you, JD.
No, I hear you, man. I think that's great. And speaking about hearing from other people, we had a really great conversation today about our second question here. Question coming in from Cypher, and the conversation. So let's just talk about the question first. The question is, what are your thoughts on Europe's different approach to growing their scene as compared to what North America is currently doing? And we had a great guest cutting this. One sec. I forgot his name.
Kinzo? No, that's a Falco, right?
Kenmore. We had someone else in the Discord, Kenmore, who recently joined. Really great to have him. Answer this in great detail. I won't go through every specific, but it was really great to have that conversation, that perspective, as Kenmore is from Germany. So, actually being in the midst of what's going on. But a quick TLDR is that there's a big push in Europe right now to bring the scene together and to start growing it as one unit, as opposed to what they're doing now, which is segmented, region-locked tournaments. Like Italy would have a local, or Sweden has a local, or Norway has a local, and the push is to get it all together so that they can grow as a united front, which is an interesting take, because right now the push in the United States is for region-locked tournaments, with Hacks and Hacks' Nightclub looking to make an East Coast and a West Coast power rankings / tournament series. It's a pretty interesting question. I'm happy Europe is making moves to improve, but first, Will, what is your take on what Europe's doing, and what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say, right? Because sorry, I just had to cough. But it's really hard to say, and I talked a little bit about it in my 1v1 with Nikki a while back, who's coincidentally also from Germany, right? Number one in Germany, and shouts to him. Hope he's doing well. But I think that like you just can't compare Europe and America, and I think people try to, and I think that's the hardest thing. Mm-hmm. And I think that like clearly I don't think region lock by country is working, and I hear Leffen's call to action for it, because like Europe's also just geography wise smaller than the US, so like it makes sense that like Boston to SoCal is really tough, right? But there's no such distance, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong.
I mean, when you get up to like northern Sweden and then to like Spain or to Italy or something, that is comparable to that sort of thing.
Okay, really? So I think then like it's tough to say. I think uniting Europe is separate from how do you structure melee events in almost like that is the easiest way. Is it possible with everyone's different internet providers and systems and stuff like that? I just don't have the nuance for it, but I like Leffen's call to action for it. I think the having like a centralized server makes sense, and I think that like that's really important. But I think it's about laying the groundwork first. You know, like there aren't many. How do I phrase it? Like it's just hard for European players. I know I talked about this extensively with Nikki, where it's just hard for European players to even get like the notability that they deserve. And they're such good players for what they are ranked because like they have to fly over and pay, you know, an extra $500 to $1,000 just to get to a major, and then on top of that, they obviously this is pre-COVID, and then on top of that, they have like 2-3 shots maximum to like make a name for themselves. You know, like remember Nicky made that crazy run at Shine to get his first top 100, you know, his introduction to top 100. But how many players go there and they're jet lagged and they get sick or they're not feeling up for it, and then bust her out,
or they
right?
or
like,
they
I think that's
place their seed and they get underseeded,
right? Yeah,
yeah,
and they're also heavily underseeded. So I think the question is so different, right? Because it's really just about how do you unite Europe rather than like how should the net play tournaments go. And I think a centralized server makes probably the most sense. But on top of that, I think it's almost more of a marketing question, because it's how do you get Americans really hyped for it? And by getting the American community really hyped for it, not only do you get more visibility on the European scene and are able to then make better judgments of seeding, obviously, for whenever COVID ends, hopefully soon, but also just like they deserve that recognition. And by having that increased recognition, you know, you, someone who does love recognition, you know, I know how, you know, I know how much it means to you. Like it will get so many players into the game too, right? And I think then you start to build bigger and bigger events, and you have like something like SCL for Europe, right? And I think that would be super, super hype. Or you can have North Europe, South Europe. I don't know how Europe likes to divide themselves, but you know, I think it's just not there yet where it's like, oh, slap on like a European all tournament and that's the fix. If it's possible with the internet providers and where the players and where the key players are, because you do need the top players to get buy into it, then yes, that is the fastest and easiest way to do it. Are they able to get there? I just can't say, because I just, you know, I don't want to misspeak about the European scene.
Right. No, I think you're hitting a lot of really good points. Really, the marketing point stood out to me, as I'm sure you knew it would. And really the question of notoriety and pushing these players into the limelight. I mean, clout is the real economy of the Smash scene, because there's no actual money coming in. You need to take this resource of attention and notoriety and clout to leverage into making your dreams come true, making your YouTube channel pop, making your sponsors want to sponsor you, getting invites to tournaments, getting plane tickets, and actually, you know, all that stuff kind of begets itself. And that's what the people at the higher up level know. So what they're trying to do is to create the tournaments to generate the clout for their players, to give them what they deserve. I mean, this has never been a meritocracy in terms of who gets, you know, the sponsorships or the money. It's about the clout. So what I think the biggest challenge after what I think is the really smart decisions that Leffen's laying out, I mean, centralize, get communications down pat, have a tournament every day of the week. It's about generating content from that. We know now that Europe has great players. I don't know anyone out there that's saying that Europe is a bad region. They're smaller for sure, but they're not bad. Each country has a sick like top 5 minimum, you know. But you got to get them into tournaments with a good solid stream, something that doesn't have to be super flashy. It just needs to look decent, so that clips can be generated, so that content can be generated, combo videos, Um, one example of this is Tech, right? Legendary Jigglypuff from France, inactive, but the name still rings in all of our ears. We know who Tech is. Did Tech come in and make top 8 at Genesis? Did he ever enter a United States tournament?
I think he was supposed to go to one, and then he got sick. I remember hearing a really sad story about it.
Yeah.
But don't quote me on that.
But we all know who he is because of his combo videos, because of his content. It's all about content here. Even if he was still the number 1 player in France, do you know the number 1 player in Italy?
No. I know the Greek one, because Panos told me.
Would you be confident that the number 1 player in France is better than the number 1 player in Italy? We don't know.
No, I don't know.
So really all this comes down to is what they're pushing for is tournament series to be bigger and to be more legitimate. But there also needs to be a push, not just from TOs and players and the top personalities pulling the strings and making all this happen. We need those video editors. We need content creators to look into Europe and to start building their scene one combo video at a time. And before that happens, I don't see a tournament without serious legs. I mean, Air is a tournament series with real roots in American culture now. We saw the announcement video a couple weeks ago, and people went ape shit. Got so much hype from it. So maybe that team can kind of use some of that hype to generate, online tournament hype. But without serious attention from the scene at large, I don't see a lot of these efforts getting that real. I see them getting better, like tournament entrants, which is good, but a tournament entrant, being higher is never going to generate hype. It's all about viewership, content, streams.
Mm-hmm. What I do think, because what really resonates with me, is that there could be, from the content side, like think about what BTS Smash did for the European scene, during them running not Slippy League but Summit, right? Like seeing Pipsqueak win without dropping a game. I'm pretty sure he didn't drop.
I remember
a game.
It was dominant.
He 3-0'd Frenzy, he 3-0'd Prof in winners, he 3-0'd Prof in grands. It was such a sick run. I think that was so sick and getting that limelight. And so I think maybe more so than anything, it's about partnering with American counterparts to make sure that you can run those morning events to watch the European stuff, because I think that's so big too. What happens if I don't know the time difference, but could you run a European event and then an HNC right after? That would be really sick.
Oh, true. Oh,
I'm just an idea guy. I am just an idea guy.
Holy fuck. Well, we'd have to get Leffen and Hacks
of course,
talking to each other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that won't happen. Never mind. Never mind. I cut the video, cut the podcast.
That's going in.
Oh god. But I think more so than that, just getting that, or even maybe it's about everyone in Europe, there's some grinders, but I know that there are a lot of top European players that are just kind of playing for fun and stuff right now too. What happens if just a different format works better? I don't know if you saw my rant in our podcast discussion channel on our Discord on Discord, but there's so many different formats, what Street Fighter League is doing, where it's teams, 3v3 teams, where if you win, you go back into the line. And then if you lose, you're eliminated. So it's whoever last man standing, but you can have this scenario where it's one man standing has to play against 3 people and then can still win, win 3 times against all those players. Wow. and win. And I think that's such a cool format, where it would be so cool. And obviously it would be a different type of crew battle where stocks don't reset. But on top of that, like, they added bans, so each team got one character ban.
Oh shit!
Which is super hype.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about the American Street Fighter scene until I started watching that. And I think, and it makes sense, because where is all the hype for Street Fighter? It's Japan, it's Asia. Oh, Daigo's playing Tokido? Hype. Oh, US. Oh, it's dual Kevin versus nephew. Doesn't have the same ring to it. But now it does, because I know those players because of Street Fighter League. So maybe it's not, it's even the tournament style, like, style is wrong for Europe, and I think that's something to, like, look into for sure.
Yeah, I think having some sort of hook, some sort of something to give it a little zhuzh, you know, like changing up something here or there, maybe something that drastic would occur to them, and they want to run with it. I don't see them adopting anything drastically different. I see them.
Oh yeah, no, they won't.
I see them trying to execute the standard playbook, and then it just comes down to doing it right. Kind of trusting that they have the players to make that happen, and I think they do. But that's kind of all I got on Europe. Good luck. I love the European scene. I love watching them whenever I can. I hope they get something really strong going once, you know, maybe all they need to do is just have weeklies with every single country in Europe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Or maybe it's something else.
And I'd love to learn more about the European scene too. I mean, we talked about it, but, like, I'll be the first one to say that I don't know nearly enough about it to really say a lot.
Same here.
Aside from random ideas. So yeah, would love to learn more about the European scene.
Well, that being said, I'm a tired boy. It's almost 11 o'clock over here, man.
Oh shit! Right. It's 8 p.m. for me.
We're gonna have to get used to that. Well, either way, great episode as always. I'm super happy that we got to make this happen. Thank you to Andre and Decipher for the questions. Join our Discord as always. Any final thoughts, Will?
No, that's about it. Self-reflecting. We've said Discord a lot this episode, so I really hope people join our Discord.
I think it'll work, man.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't think we've ever said that word as many times.
You don't have to be afraid of it. Embrace
this episode.
Join our Discord. Our Discord. All right.
Actually, yeah, please do.
That's all we got. I'll see you later, buddy.
Peace.